Hi there, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Bold Moves Business Podcast. I am your host, Angela Merzib, and joining me today is Anna Hopaluk. Anna is a mom of four and the owner of My Friend Anna Cleaning, a thriving residential cleaning business. Known for her empowering leadership style, Anna fosters a culture of kindness and community, community connections, among her team. An avid volunteer and community builder, she inspires others through her journey of personal transformation following her bariatric surgery, advocating for the importance of health, wellness, and asking for help. Anna's mission is to demonstrate that resilience and vulnerability are vital for effective leadership and personal growth. Welcome, Anna.
Thank you, Angela, for having me.
I'm so excited to have you here. And the topic today is very timely because I am coming to you all with a broken wing today. So I foolishly did a few stunts on one too many stunts on my roller skates this weekend, and I ended up breaking my wrist. So there you go. Years and years of roller derby and kickboxing, and I've never broken anything. And skating with my 8-year-old did me in.
He broke you.
Yeah, he broke me. But one of the topics we're talking about today is asking for help. And I am terrible at that. Anna graciously offered to help me yesterday by bringing me over some delicious food so I didn't have to cook with my broken arm because it's still throbbing. So that was amazing. Thank you, Anna.
You're welcome. Yeah, you're welcome. I always believe that there's always that smaller community that lifts each other up, right? And so the meal thing, that used to be something that my grandmother would do, and she would, someone was needing something, and the first thing that she would jump to is a meal. And so when you told me that, I was like, there's no cooking going on with one wing. How do you chop anything? So
exactly. That's amazing. Thank you so much. Yes, my family was the same way, and I'm the same way too. I'm Greek and Italian, so it's all about food for us. It's like you're happy, you eat. You're sad, you eat. You break something, you eat. It's all about that. So I appreciate it so much. And yeah, so let's get into talking about you and your business and where that all started. I would love for you to give us a bit of a backstory about how and when you started your business, where that desire came from, and what was going on in your life at the time.
Yeah, so about 10-ish years ago, I was a stay-at-home mom for 6 years. And so I realized that I'm actually a much better mom when I'm working. And so I got to a point where I needed something more than just staying at home. I mean, we were a very active family and out doing all of the things and that sort of thing, but there was something that was missing for me. And I think it was some sort of purpose, other than being a mom. And so I had this idea that I would just go out and do odd jobs for friends and family and just really connect with people. And so what started with a gnarly rose bush actually turned into a full-fledged cleaning company eventually down the line. So my first job, like I said, was somebody had requested a rose bush to be removed. And I was like, hey, you know what? I'm willing to take on anything. And so after that, it became more people asking for house cleaning. And so it was actually something that I was good at, something I enjoyed. And it was something that I felt like it was a very big privilege to be invited into someone's home. Not everybody has that, right? And then there's some level of trust that happens there. And so that was really important to me, to be able to connect with people on a deeper level. And so I started a cleaning company. It was me and myself and I for a long time, a couple of years actually. And then, excuse me, it got to the point where there was too many people wanting my service. And so I thought I wonder how many other people are in my situation where they want to just get out and do a couple of hours here or there, or, just connect with someone. And so I put it out there. And of course, I hired my first employee. And then from there, I hired another one and hired another one. And actually, since then, I've had 3 separate teams in different varieties because of course the pandemic and having to shut down, not being allowed in other people's spaces.
Yeah.
But I did use that time after a very important conversation with a mentor, and he had said to me, you know what, sinking into process and making sure that you can come out of this better than when you went into it. So I really sunk into, you know, who was going to be my next hire and what kind of clients I wanted to serve, and just having those hard conversations and then putting things in place for when that time comes, how do I, you know, explode out of the gates kind of thing. So that's kind of how that started. And then it's just taken off ever since. And so at My Friend Anna, we hire moms needing the flexible schedule, students needing the flexible schedule. It's really about building a community of connection and love and kindness, and just really sinking into that space where we're helping other people.
That's amazing. I love that. So I guess you didn't anticipate, starting a whole business. You just wanted to keep yourself busy, it sounded like at the beginning.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, it was. I never ever once thought that I would have a business of my own, as in having 14 employees and all of the things. So
that's amazing. So did you focus on hiring moms and college students from the very beginning when you were hiring?
No, I didn't.
Oh,
but that
okay.
kind of became a niche that really fit with the model that I have. A lot of cleaning companies will have cleaners that work full time, and so by the end of the week, though, I think that the burnout happens, right? And so for me, a part-time model really works for us because we're able to do it around the needs of our family and studies and that sort of thing. But also, we're not burning out. So, the majority of my employees have been with me 2+ years, which is amazing. So we've really built a great community of helpers. So I'm really proud of that.
Smart. That's very smart because it is a physical and demanding, physically job. So you want you want your customers to be happy, you want your employees to be happy. So, and it makes sense, and then the niche makes sense as well, because moms usually have 6 hours in a day when our kiddos are at school. So that makes a lot of sense. What would you say was the reason why your business took off?
I honestly, I get a lot of feedback on the heart. A lot of people say it's just the way that we approach things is so different, because we're not doing it as a job. It's more of, we want to help. We want to be in your space. We want to make your life a little easier. I will never forget the time where I knocked on the door, and a new mom answered the door, and she had her arms outstretched, and she said, "Take my baby. I can't do this anymore." And thinking back to when I first started my business, I had those same feelings. And so my babies were already 4, 5, 6, 7, something like that. They were already starting into school and preschool. But I think as moms, we've all had those feelings of overwhelm and just can't do it anymore. And so that was a pivotal moment that I won't forget. Just being able to take that baby. And I talked to mom and I said, you know what, I will absolutely hold your baby until baby goes to sleep. I'll do the cleaning, you go have a shower. And so those are the moments that really keep you going. And those are the moments that just stick with you forever too.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I can totally see why your business took off. You really do live out your values. Just as yesterday you came by and you gave me all those groceries. So I love that you really live it out, and you are, it sounds cheesy, but you are the change you want to see in the world, right? You are that, you try to do the thing and not just say the thing, right? A lot of us,
Absolutely.
maybe don't do that.
Integrity means a lot to me. And throughout my business, I mean, if we find somebody isn't holding that, we keep each other accountable. And so I think that's why we stand out above the crowd, is that we're a bunch of women who really, I wouldn't say, I don't even know what the word is, but that we really value that integrity that we keep. So.
And I think you support each other, right? It's not just about the cleaning, right? It's not just about this thing you're doing. It's it's more than that. It's, being there for someone, doing that extra little thing, understanding, because you're a mom too, and building that sense of community amongst your team and, amongst your customers and clients as well. Because we all, I only have one kiddo, you have four. And, I've felt those moments too, much more for you, I'm sure, with four versus one. So we all just kind of need that break sometimes. And sometimes we're at home alone and we don't have anyone, right, during the day. And so having that break and having someone who understands in our space, and it's such an intimate thing to open up your space to someone who's like then seeing everything and helping you to clean. So having the proper like servant heart mentality, I think is super important for what you guys do.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there are places where, cleaning is what the focus is, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yep.
I think that the service that we offer is more than just a cleaner.
Yeah.
And I often use that hashtag, not just a cleaner, because
Yeah.
I think we do offer a level above and beyond where it's more of an intimate cleaning service. We get to know your family. We know your pet's name. We know, where you keep the treats for when the dog is barking or whatever. Like we want to know all the ins and outs, and we can tell when we enter a space that, has there been stress in your life? We can tell those things and read the energy and that sort of thing. So yeah, it's a very, I'm not joking when I say it's a privilege to be in someone's space, because to have that invite sometimes is really hard for people to ask. So
Yeah, it would be. And that's smart. And that's a good branding too, is to differentiate yourself from everybody else out there. So that's how you do it. That's how you brand your brand, people. So take some notes. So you're about, I think we were talking before, and you're about 10 years into this journey of owning your own business.
Yes.
7 officially, you were saying. But somewhere along, midway point here, you did have to undergo some surgery. And can you talk to us a bit about that and that decision that you had to make? And how did that transform your life, both personally and in your business?
Yeah. So about 5 years ago in 2019, I underwent bariatric surgery. A bold move for sure, because I had battled obesity most of my life. You mentioned how you're Greek and, you celebrate around food and all of the things. And I learned that food was a coping strategy that no longer worked for me. And my body was just not happy with that. So I underwent bariatric surgery. I had 3/4 of my stomach removed. And so I had to relearn how to eat and how to feed my body and nourish my body and do all of the things. But upon doing that, I was also running a business. So I was faced with some adversity for sure, in the fact that I was relearning so much and taking so much energy to reset myself. It was a great test of whether my business would survive or not, though. So I really wanted to have those vulnerable conversations, and I wasn't hiding it from anybody. I did it because my health needed it, and I also have 4 children, so they need a mom who's going to be healthy for them and who's going to stick around. So it was a very scary decision to make, and there was a lot of hard work that went into it. My journey was a lot of mental work, because I knew what calories were in and out and that sort of thing. I knew how much I needed to exercise. I often punished myself with, over exercising or under eating and all of the things. I'd been on every fad diet, that sort of thing. But it was time to take a different way of life. And so when I stepped back and did the surgery, I was off for about 8 weeks, I think it was. And I was still cleaning at the time. So that was a big decision for me to pull away from doing a good portion of the cleaning. And, I had really great clients who were very supportive. And I had people that were checking in and doing all of the things and told me to take as much time as I needed and that sort of thing. So That was never the issue. It was the issue of, can I let this go and ask for help? Can somebody else step in and help me out here? And so that there was a lot of trust in that process that needed to happen. And so that was the first surgery. And then, of course, once you lose the weight, which took me about 2.5 years to take off 150 pounds. And so I took off the weight. And then about 2 years later, I had my first plastic surgery. So that's where they do a bit of the skin removal, because you can imagine that after having that much weight loss, that your body looks like a human Shar-Pei, with the wrinkly face dogs, but imagine your whole body. And so I had to take care of some of that. And so I had my first surgery, my first plastic surgery, and I actually went to Mexico. So I had some medical tourism experience there, and I had a fantastic recovery. The surgery went well. The experience was amazing. And I felt like $1 million. And but then I didn't. And there was this part of the mental process that also I want to speak about, is the confidence that you go through when you're making these big decisions, and you're like, is this really the right decision? People treat me differently now than they ever did. And so there was a whole big learning curve to take on. And so I had to learn how to interact with people differently, because it wasn't the same as what it was before. But yeah, and then I had another surgery, another skin removal surgery, because there was still more to take off. And that surgery actually didn't go as well. The surgery did, the recovery did not. My body didn't respond as they had hoped. And I ended up on bed rest for 12 weeks. But it actually ended up being a full 6 months of recovery. So, and I'm not sure that I'm actually still fully recovered yet, but there was a huge mental component to that as well. And that at that time, I wasn't able to do anything. I was literally bedridden. I wasn't able to get up other than to go to the washroom or anything like that. So that was a huge test in whether my business would survive. And I'm happy to report that I have the most amazing team, and everybody stepped up to the plate and took on all of the roles, and even came to my bedside actually, and brought gifts and brought conversation. And so it was one of those times where I had to become vulnerable myself and ask for help, which was really, really difficult. But being on the receiving side of things now, I realize that if I say no to asking for help, when someone says, "Do you need some help?" and I'm like, "No," it really means that I'm denying them the opportunity to gift their skills and talents. So that was a huge learning curve for me too. So.
Yeah, I hear you on that. And we talked a little bit about that yesterday, and I talked with another friend of mine about that months ago, but she is very much like you. She loves to help, and she loves to cook, and she loves to just take care of her people. And, and she talked to me about this, she's like, well, I tried to offer this to someone, and they said no. And you could see she was just upset and sad about it. And I was like, we never really look at it from the other person's perspective. We try and be like proud and like, oh, no, we don't want to bother you with this. It's okay. But really, you aren't, like you said, you are denying that other person to express themselves, use their gifts and talents, and just be a blessing to other people. We don't often think about that. But I'm not surprised that people came to your aid and all that, because you really did set up that culture in your business and around you for that. So it's like what you put out there, you're going to get that back. So.
And you know what I did get back was 110-fold. Like, it was beyond my expectation. Exactly. It actually, a lot of the time, even still thinking about it, brings me to tears, because you never know what skills and talents people have. And I had a staff who made this amazing memory book, and she had asked me these questions along the way. like, what are my favorite animals and who are favorite colors and all of these things. And I thought, like, why is she doing this? I have no idea. But we had a staff gathering, and she ended up presenting this to me, and instantly, like, I was blown away. Like, the creativity that she has, and the ability to pull these intricate details out of, like, what I thought was like meaningless, but she literally pulled together this fantastically beautiful photo book. Like, it was amazing. And there's, like, in every little piece, and it's all through, like, the different modalities of art that she does. And, like, I had no idea that she does that sort of thing. And, like, I just am blown away at what people will gift when given the opportunity.
Yeah.
It is absolutely mind-blowing that I don't know, that I would have people like that in my circle. That's not the mind-blowing part, because I keep really good people around. But
Yeah.
It's the fact that I had to act, like, that I was in that position to be gifted. And so sometimes that gifting and receiving is really difficult. But
It
I'm
is.
super
Yeah.
grateful for that, for everybody that did, bless me. And so I am just so grateful for all of them.
Yeah, and she was probably overjoyed when she saw you open it and the expression on your face, right? She
Absolutely.
was probably, it's like when I make a new dish and I feed someone, I'm like, "What do you think? What do you think?" Right?
Yeah.
We're just happy to do that for folks. So you spoke about vulnerability, being vulnerable in that season of your life. How did embracing that vulnerability play a role in your personal journey, and how has it influenced your leadership style at your business?
Oh my goodness. The connections that you have when you let those walls down, people
Yeah.
become human. And we have some sort of, understanding, a similar understanding. And I always use the phrase everybody poops, because I'm a cleaner. I clean toilets, right?
Right.
But when we take all of those walls down and we accept that we're all in the same space, like, it
Yeah.
opens up that conversation, and those conversations are deep. And so when I take it to my team, I think about, everybody has goals and dreams, and not everybody wants to be a cleaner for their entire life. And so I want to be able to foster those conversations about how can I support you on moving forward and growing and being a better person. Because let's face it, when we're stagnant, we're dead. Like,
Yeah.
it's not, humans are meant to grow and to change and evolve. And I want to keep the conversation going. And so having those deep connections is really important. And not just a one-time conversation. It's the constant conversations and the building of trust, because that's really important on being invited into somebody's space. It's you can't do anything without that trust.
No.
So
No, you're right about that. Um, so, and thinking about how you interact with your staff and the kinds of people you attract to your business, what can you provide if other leaders are listening in? Can you provide some practical tips on how they can cultivate a similar environment of kindness, community, connection within their teams? What are some tips you would have
mhm.
on that topic?
Well, I lead my life as if I want to be treated. And so the thing is that, and in my space of leadership with my team and that sort of thing, I think about my time. Like, if I'm giving
Mm,
time away from my family, I want to be compensated. So treat them
yeah,
well. Pay a living wage. Yeah, it's going to cost a little bit, but they do a hard job. They show up every day. They're doing the work, and that's what they deserve, at least at the minimum, a decent wage. Give generously, and
mm,
give generously from the heart. I think that when you can, do it individually and make it personalized. I've worked for places where they've had, like, a corporate blanket of, like, this is the standard and this is the minimum.
right.
Um, but it doesn't fit everybody. And so everybody is human, everybody's individual. And so treat them like that. Play to their interests. What motivates them? Learn what makes them tick. What are their interests? What are their values? You want to learn about them. One of the other things that I really do, it's a little bit different, is I also look to make sure that when I'm hiring, that they give generously themselves. Like, I want someone who's going to align with those values, right? So usually when you give generously and give from the heart, it's accepted with open arms, right? Like, it's not an expectation. So there's this give a lot, take a little. So you want to make sure that you are showing up for them and with integrity. Like I said, mean what you say and say what you mean. And that goes a long way. Like, people know that they can count on me because I say that I'm going to be there and I'm going to be there.
Yeah.
And so I think that those are some really important parts of why we've been successful with the teams that we've had, other than being taken down by a pandemic and that sort of thing. But we've had long-term employees because of that culture. I don't micromanage. I know that I can trust them to do the job because I've hired them to do the job. And so I also know that I don't have a lot of time in my day to be micromanaging. That's not what I wanted to be doing with my time. And so I lean into them. I trust them. Should something come up, we deal with it on the spot. We don't let it fester. We have a team of women, and they're, in typical workspaces that I've worked in before. I don't know about you, but there's been a lot of drama. Not with my friend Anna. Like, I just don't have time for it. I'm like, I want to be lifting people up. I want you to lift up other people. Like, I just don't have that desire to have that in my life. And so we just don't go there, and we manage that as it comes up. And so I'm actually very, very lucky to not have a lot of that ever surface. And so it's about treating people with respect. Like, we just have this mutual respect on our team that really works. And so the culture that we've created is pretty special.
Yeah, it is. And I think it just can be summed up by exactly that first point you talked about. It's the golden rule. Like, treat others how you want to be treated, right? That's
totally.
It's so basic, but it works, and it's timeless, and it's just logical, right? Be human, treat others how you want to be treated, and it'll come back around full circle. And hire folks that have the same values as you. So if you get that right at the beginning, that they're going to bring that around too within the company and all that they do, and you're not going to have to micromanage as much, really. So
and I think knowing what you're willing to do and what you're willing not to do, I would never make someone do what I don't want to do. I would give them the opportunity to say yes or no. I would never demand that someone do a job that I don't want to do. And so if I'm not willing to do it, I'm not going to make somebody else do it. And I think that's really, I mean, even my own kids, I do. I mean, there's some things that I have to make them do, but it's still the same concept, is that if I won't do it, I don't want other people doing it either. If I'm uncomfortable, I imagine that other people are going to be uncomfortable, right? So
having that emotional intelligence. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Emotional intelligence and being self-aware is a big one.
Yeah.
So tell me, you did mention, now I don't have a brick and mortar business. Well, you do, like, you have to be physically present in your business. I can do mine virtually. So COVID and all that didn't really affect many things for me, but talk to us about that. What happened during that time, and did you have to completely shut down? And how did you get started up again later on? Did things significantly change for you, or how did you navigate that whole time?
Yeah. So I did. I had to lay everybody off. Actually, the team that we did have, we had to lay them off because there wasn't anything that I could do on the back end of things. Like, there wasn't any admin. I mean, if we're not cleaning, we're not billing. So there wasn't anything that I could do in that realm. I did stay connected with my team though, and the reason being is that I didn't want to sever the connection because I knew that they were good people. And if there was anything that I could do, like if there was any hard times that we were coming upon, we had no idea. And so I wanted to be there in case they needed something. It was really important for me to keep that connection open. And so, like I said previously, is that I also sunk into process. So at that time, I didn't really have like a flawless process of hiring or how I was going to onboard people, or maybe even just the day-to-day operations. And what I did was I actually sunk into walking through each of those processes and writing them down. So if I were to bring somebody else on, it would be following the steps and getting them onboarded quickly, getting them trained quickly, and getting us back out into the field. So we were down about 3 months actually, and then I had clients going, "Can we just sneak you in?" And I'm like, I'm not really sure how this goes, because I am a rule player, so like I don't like to break the rules unless I'm in a rush in my car with a heavy foot. But other than that, it did take me some time, but I think the ultimate turning point for me was I had a client that was like, if you can't come in, I'm going to have to hire somebody else. And I was like, oh my gosh. Okay. So now we're faced with, we either go back to work and I try and make this work, or it's done. And so I did go back and immediately put up a hiring ad and found my first hire. I did take one of the gals that worked for me previously. She did come back, and she was a part of the team for quite some time. And so until she moved on to another opportunity. And so, so she is no longer with us, but Amanda is, and Amanda's our admin, and amazing at what she does. She runs the day-to-day operations. And like I said, when I went for my second skin removal surgery, she was the one that took over and is running the ship. And so how that happened was that she was actually hired as a cleaner, and then there was some admin stuff that she had to take on, and so she ended up taking on more and more and more, and lo and behold, I had no idea that she was even a videographer, and was able to like document all of our process through video even. And so she made training videos, like all the things that I thought that I needed but I didn't know how to get. And so this is where I go back to the hire for one specific, but like learn who these people are and learn their skills and learn what they like to do, because it's really important. Like you just never know where they'll land or how they'll bring your business to flourish. I didn't know what I needed until I found Amanda, and so Amanda is a very pivotal person in our business, and she is very much a leader, a great with customer service and all of the things. And we look up to her. Like I don't consider her less than or anything of the sort. She is definitely, I would actually put her higher than me right now, because I'm not doing any of the day-to-day operations. So yeah, and not that there's any hierarchy in our company at all. We all have roles and responsibilities to do. So yeah, we work as a team.
Yeah. Well, that's smart that you stayed connected with everybody during that downtime, and that you used it wisely to document your processes. So you weren't just sitting around, being stressed out, although I'm sure you were stressed out for a while there. How long did it take you to just kind of ramp everything back up to what it was before? Not long, I'm assuming.
No, it didn't take long. I think in the first few months I had 5 cleaners, I think it was. And so we actually came out quite well. And then just from there, we've added cleaners as we've went. So we're up to 14 now. And so, yeah, it kind of fluctuates depending on, where people are going, and where, some people have kids that are younger now, or we have moms that are still having family members, and so adding new ones to their families. So yeah, so it just we kind of hover around the 14, which is great.
Yeah, perfect. Well, I'm so glad it, turned out well and you recovered. Not that I didn't think, that you would, because your clients sound amazing and your team sounds amazing. So, but let's talk a little bit about health and wellness. So I know we talked about your surgery previously here, but how do you incorporate health and wellness practices into your daily routine now? And um, how would you say that's enhanced your abilities and effectiveness as a leader and an entrepreneur now that you've turned that corner?
Yeah, so I start each morning with a thing of gratitude, 5 things that I'm grateful for, because I think that starting by being thankful for what you have is a great mindset to start on. I also feed my brain, so I want to make sure that I'm eating properly and exercising and that sort of thing. Those are kind of given, but often get put on the wayside, the back burner, when we're trying to do it all as entrepreneurs. So trying to make sure that I have some of the basics covered. I also want to feed my brain, so podcasts, audibles, books, all kinds of things. I actually don't watch a lot of TV unless it's documentaries. So doing things that my body needs, I know that I need to feed my brain, and so I do that to grow. As far as what I would do what I would do with my business, I learn about different techniques to use, and technology new coming, and I learn the tools because they're always trying. I call myself a techno dino, and so I feel like I'm kind of trying to catch up to things sometimes when things are changing so quickly. But yeah, I try and learn more about that, and if I can't, then I bring on resources to do that. But yeah, so the health and wellness piece for me is about taking care of myself so I can lead by example, but also so I can be there to help other people when they need it, and step in if needed. So
yeah. How do you manage stress in your life? Because I was told I'd have to manage stress because I'm in the perimenopause phase, and that's a problem apparently. So what do you do to manage stress? Because as an entrepreneur, we're not stressed at all. But what do you do?
I kind of roll with it. I don't know if I'm great at it, but I definitely I do journal.
Okay.
I reach out to people. I have conversations, and we talk about things that are raw and real, like you said about perimenopause. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm kind of in that phase too, and so things are raw and real, and the emotions are big, and sometimes you just need to move through those and feel them, and connect with other people who are in the same period of time. And so connection um, is really key, right? So connecting with not only resources, but having the conversations and making them, having those vulnerable conversations and keeping them humanized, I guess. I don't know. Like, I think we often have these societal expectations that we have to live up to, things that we are not supposed to talk about. And the thing is that everybody is facing the same thing. And I think that that's my biggest message going forward. And I've just recently done a speech about at a women's conference, was that, like, we're all in the same boat. And if we can think that we're all human, we look at things differently. The conversations change, the conversations become deeper, and the connections are far greater than ever imagined, right? When we can connect on a level where we both have a win-win situation. So, and I don't know, there's the whole misery loves company or whatever, but I typically don't like to go down that route, but there is some merit in acknowledging those things and then moving on from them. So yeah, it's about breaking down those walls of having those conversations and really connecting with people, having rich conversations.
Yeah, and I'm like you, I watch documentaries, and one that I watched a little while ago was a guy was going around different parts of the world and figuring out why certain areas lived longer, like the people there lived longer than others. And one of the big factors was, of course, not only what they ate and their exercise and stuff, but community, right? People that were connected to their little, communities or tribes or whatever, they're the ones that lived longer. And I think we're missing a lot of that. We're very insular and we're very like in our own bubbles in North America. And we're, told we need to be independent and all this stuff. But, it wasn't so long ago that we had multi-generational families living in homes and things like this. And they were probably a lot healthier and they probably did a lot better and lived a lot longer than us now. So community really is conducive to life in general.
Well, and we definitely see that when we think about kids in sports or more intimate communities of like rural communities and stuff like that, where, like I spoke about, where my grandma, like if something were to happen, my grandma would be there with, a loaf of bread or sandwiches or whatever. And it's just that it's natural to them to be able to take care of each other, right? Not one person is left behind. And I think that team sports are really good at doing that a lot of the time too, is that it not only like builds a like a player community, but there's also the parent side of things too. Parents connect with other parents in likeness, right? And so, community is huge, and it's really important.
And people know what's going on in your life, right? And so they can be there to help, and it's easier when something like this happens, because you are connected already. But as you were talking, I was like, Anna should write a book. And now that you mentioned, like, we're all in the same, area and same like boat kind of thing. I was like, she should write a book. And there's already a book by this name, but it's a kid's book. And I think your book should be Everybody Poops, Volume 2.
It's so funny because I actually have had this on my mind for a while of either that or Secrets of a Cleaner. And so, or Secrets from a Cleaner or something like that. But it's, I really do, I do value those conversations, those deeper conversations. And it's funny because I think that I'm a pretty fun and exciting person sometimes to be around, and I can be, but I can also be very serious in the moment as well. And sometimes I remember my mom saying when I was young, she said, you're too serious all the time. Like you just need to relax and have a little bit of fun. But it was always those conversations that I really enjoyed about, the deeper connection of things. And so, when someone's like, oh, how are you today? And I'm like, I'm well, actually, how are you? And it's the, what's making your heart happy today? It's not the, how's the weather? Like it just, those deeper conversations really fill my soul. And so I really dive into that connection when someone stops and it's like, oh my gosh, the small chit chat in the grocery store, and my kids are like, everybody, Mom. But I don't know. It's just, you never know where you might impact somebody in the world, right? Whether it be, a smile or a conversation in a grocery store, a hand up is better than a hand out. And so I often, am talking to my kids about, like, you just never know. You never know someone's story. You never know where you're going to end up and where somebody's going to need you. So, give with a generous heart. And that was always my thing to tell the kids was, kindness always.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm that person too. And that's probably why I enjoy being around you so much, because I'm that person that gets like sideways looks at parties because it's like, what topic is she talking about now? And I'll run into somebody I know at the grocery store or mall or something, and my husband will be like, he'll do an about face and go sit in the car because he knows it's gonna be a while, right? But I don't know, I like getting to know people, and like you say, you never know what somebody's going through. And like I remember when I used to play roller derby, I remember getting an email from this girl, and I don't even know what I said to her, but she's like, thank you for being so kind to me, and you really encouraged me, and it really changed things for me. I was like, what? I don't even remember that conversation, right? Like, so you just never know.
Absolutely.
Well, it's been lovely as always talking to you, Anna. I promised you we'd be out of here in 45 minutes, so I'm keeping that promise. I think we covered everything I wanted to talk about, but as a last note, how can people find you online and support what you're doing?
Well, you can find me online on Facebook. It's Anna Hopaluk, and I also have my friend Anna cleaning page on there, as well as I'm on LinkedIn. We also have a website at www.myfriendanna.ca. I post some blogs on there. I send out a newsletter every month, just kind of giving tips and tricks and all of the things, the mussings of Anna. So I want to make sure that people are getting what they need. So if there is something that you desire to have an answer to, or any sort of questions or concerns or anything like that, please reach out. I'm more than willing to have the conversation. So, and I'm telling you, there's no topic off key here. So
Yeah.
I definitely am here to help, and I definitely love to serve. So thank you very much, Angela, for having me today.
Thank you. And it's very evident in your life that you love those things. And, I would be interested. I don't know if there is one, but do you have a blog on your website? Because I'd be interested in your
I
musing.
absolutely do.
Yeah. Oh, I'll have to check that out. I love it.
Absolutely. Awesome. Well, let me know what you think, and I look forward to more conversations with you.
Yeah, me too. Thanks everyone for joining us, and we'll see